Hey, what's up? This is Zach, CEO of Genzio, live here at NFT Tallinn with Adam, who is an NFT archaeologist. Is that right?
That's it, baby.
That's it? All right, Adam, tell us a little bit about what that means, NFT archaeologist, and how you got into the space.
Sure. I mean, I got into the space back in like 2016. ICO boom got me interested deeply in NFTs or in crypto at the time. But in March of 2021, there was this kind of rediscovery of old NFT projects. And when I realized that there are these NFTs from the past that are basically just sitting on the blockchain and you can go get them for like free and people will value these, it completely transformed my life. I spent like the next 6 months, 15 hours a day going, looking and hunting for old NFT projects and trying to bring them back.
Some gems in there?
A couple gems. I feel very fortunate to have worked with some amazing developers who were kind of doing projects back in like 2016 that were done just because they were maybe trying to learn Solidity, for example, on Ethereum, and literally built a smart contract. Didn't even know that they were creating what we now call NFTs, but were doing it just to learn Solidity because they were interested in it. And to like connect with those people, bring these projects back and tell the story about how these are important on the timeline of collectibles, digital assets, and blockchains, I think has been really one of the highlights of my life.
Can you talk about like some of the projects that you rediscovered?
Sure. Well, this one in 2016, there was one called Pixel Map. So Ken Irwin was the developer that I'm talking about in that case, literally like in his basement learning Solidity. And at that point in time, I had discovered a couple others, but this one I found, and I reached out to him because I was trying to connect with him, because it wasn't like you could claim the NFTs. They weren't available to claim. And the price was like 2 ETH each, which at that time was like $6,000 each. And I was like, well, I can't really buy them. And what am I going to do? So I reached out to Ken like on LinkedIn and on Twitter, and I bombed him everywhere, hit him with a bunch of DMs. And he thought I was trying to scam him. You know, he thought it was like a scammer type of thing.
It's crypto.
He literally didn't even know what NFTs were.
Wow.
Literally had no idea. Literally had no idea. He told me later, I mentioned Pixel Map in the DM itself, and he's like, how would anybody know about Pixel Map? And anyway, got in touch with him the next day, got on a Zoom call with him. A couple days later, we relaunched his project, which was Pixel Map. It's 2016 NFT projects, basically 4,000 tiles on a map. Very early NFT project, one of the first on Ethereum. And on that day, he made, I don't know, somewhere $3-4 million on the day we relaunched his project. So Ken was very happy and very generous with me. Ken's a great guy. And that was kind of one that, you know, just for me is really satisfying. They actually made a This American Life episode, you know, if you know This American Life on NPR in the States. It's a pretty great story. And that's when I knew I made it in NFTs, when my mom actually understood what I did because she heard it on NPR.
That's amazing.
So that was pretty fun.
And what's he doing now?
What's that? What's Ken doing?
Yeah.
Ken's actually building a game on top of his old NFT project. He used that money to basically quit his job at Amazon. And
Where does he live?
So he's in like the middle of America, you know? He was in 2016, he was learning Solidity to make basically, make himself more valuable. He's a developer, make himself more valuable to his, employer. And literally was working for Amazon as like a tech guy. And the relaunching his project obviously changed his life. And now he gets to do what he always wanted to do, which is like build a kind of Zelda style game, and he's built it on top of Pixel Map. It's really fun.
That is so cool. I also love Zelda, so I want to check this out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Pixelmap.io.
So for what you're doing now, I guess, is it still kind of, because I know we talked a little bit earlier about the kind of infrastructure that you're building for things like OpenSea or these different platforms. Can you talk a little bit more about that, or what you're working on currently?
I mean, really, I'm not really much of an archaeologist anymore. I'm more of an NFT historian. And part of that is I hooked up with a team, and I'm a partner with a team called Emblem Vault. And what we do is we facilitate trading of NFTs across blockchains.
What's your role there?
So I'm lead marketing and strategy. And so what we do, if any of your listeners are familiar with like rare pepes, which is kind of the most obvious example, which everybody's seen pepes around. So rare pepes are on Bitcoin, but almost all trading volume of rare pepes is actually happening on OpenSea. And so what we do is we allow people to, or facilitate them, basically wrapping. We call it wrapping, but it's not really a wrapper. You basically send your pepe to another Bitcoin address, and that Bitcoin address is actually held within an Emblem Vault NFT on OpenSea. And so that allows for easy trading on OpenSea. Everybody's familiar with that interface. Everybody has, MetaMask wallets. And so that's what our company is. Our company, our long-term vision is we are a cog in the machinery that allows NFTs to flow across blockchains. So we believe in the provenance of NFTs. So if it's an NFT that's born on Bitcoin, it stays on Bitcoin. That's the provenance layer. But it should be able to be moved and transferred and sold and bought and traded and gifted and whatever on every blockchain. And that's what our company's all about.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, I think we're definitely going to have an interoperable future.
1,000,000%.
So I think that's really smart. Where do you see right now kind of the most interesting part of NFTs? Because there's gaming going on, there's physical NFTs.
Yep.
The people are trying to have experience, token gating. What interests you?
The most interesting space right now is Bitcoin NFTs and ordinals.
Okay.
Ordinals are transformative because they transform Bitcoin. Bitcoin maxis, we've gone through a couple different cycles of what Bitcoin is.
I don't like Bitcoin maxi. So
Right. And so this is actually, I think ordinals happened at the perfect time. I've had Casey Rotimer on my show, and we've talked to Casey a bunch of times. We talked to him last September when he was developing the entire idea of ordinals. And ordinals allow for on-chain NFTs on Bitcoin. That is transformative for Bitcoin. The use cases for Bitcoin have now been expanded, and I think you can look through this entire event. Everybody here is a Bitcoiner at heart. There's not a person here who doesn't believe in Bitcoin. This is simply unlocking something that was kind of always available at Bitcoin. It just was kind of pressed down and it didn't really work. So Counterparty, in my opinion, was kind of like this first effort. It was basically completely tamped down by the maxis at the time as something they didn't want basically associated with Bitcoin. And what we've seen now is that ordinals happened. It's very similar to Counterparty somewhat in the way it functions. It's this kind of like layer on top of Bitcoin. But this time the maxis can't stop it. This time it's too powerful. The message of ordinals, which is on-chain storage of NFTs, it's too, you can't stop that. The idea spread immediately like wildfire. And we saw it today. Michael Saylor was on CNBC or whatever talking about Bitcoin ordinals. It's over. The maxis lost this one. NFT collectors, people who are interested in storing information, data, NFTs, God knows what on blockchains, we've won this battle. It's already over. And the maxis are waking up to a new reality.
Do you think that we're going to see more NFTs on Bitcoin?
Oh, there's zero question. I mean, I think it's going to be the type of thing as these fees rise. I mean, we've seen an incredible rise in fees on Bitcoin, that maybe only the more valuable ones or what people believe will be valuable might be put on Bitcoin. That's very possible. But what happens is when you create new protocols, new layers, you get all sorts of innovation. So what we thought and what Casey thought might be NFTs has now become BRC20s, right? And BRC20s unlocked what people would call shit coins or meme coins or whatever. But we now have this whole nother layer on top of Bitcoin. Trust me, Casey had no idea that was going to happen. Nobody had any idea that was going to happen. Casey himself is a hardcore, non-shit coin or Bitcoin maxi kind of guy. He wants hard money, but he created a layer that allows for all this stuff, different stuff to happen, and people get creative. And stuff happens, Fuck around and find out.
Yeah. So I think, that's really interesting that you pinpointed ordinals. Where do you think this interest is driven by? Is it by the traditional Ethereum?
Yeah, I think basically the core of it came from Ethereum native NFT people, for sure. I know I was excited about it. Everybody in my community, the idea of on-chain storage was very exciting. That it could happen on Bitcoin kind of in this native way, right? Not like an L2 solution, but like a real kind of native way, was very attractive, very attractive. And I think we all get that value proposition. We all want this idea of immutability, this idea of something outliving ourselves. There's not a human on the planet who isn't interested in that, right? Just, every single person here is interested in legacies to some degree or another, right? And if you can tell me that items I own or items I create are stored on blockchains and will be stored long after I live, I'm deeply interested in that. And most people are deeply interested in that. And we've just begun kind of exploring this space of what we're actually going to put there right now, right? At the beginning, it's monkey pictures and JPEGs, okay? But the ideas are there, and this is the foundation layer where it can be far more than that, right? What do we want to store forever? What do we want our legacy to be? And we're only just beginning to explore what that means.
So I want to bring it back to where we are now, which is at NFT Tallinn, an NFT focused event, but there's lots of different projects here. It's not really like NFT, it's just kind of everything. And I think that's kind of interesting because with Bitcoin launching NFTs and stuff, it seems like a lot of pieces in Web3 are converging right now.
Yeah.
Like crypto, art, Web3, NFTs is all just coming together. Do you see like the next year at NFT Tallinn, do you think it will still be called NFT Tallinn? Do you think there'll be a lot of Bitcoin projects?
Maybe it'll be digital collectible Tallinn, right?
Yeah.
This is the thing I've learned in my life is that you never know what's going to be the thing that moves the needle. I think, the perfect example of that in the last few months is ordinals. Nobody could have seen that coming, yet it transformed the entire industry. Like you just can't see the thing that's going to move the needle. In the same way that, when I look at blockchain historically, nobody knew that NFTs were going to be the thing, right? Nobody knew that 2021 was going to explode in NFTs. Like, hello, you could buy X copies for $1 in 2018, right? Rare Pepes were given away for free, just literally thrown around. You wanted some, here you are, give them out, right? And now they're $500,000. So you can never, it's not obvious to know what that thing is going to be. I can tell you it's gaming, right? But what's going to be the game that moves the needle, right? What's going to be the game that really connects with people and allows trading of NFTs? We don't know. I don't think anybody knows. I can tell you, like, closetly, I've been having my kid buy Fortnite skins, like completely off the books in like shady manners. Like I'm sending PayPal out to some random kid in God knows where to buy old Fortnite skins. Why am I doing this crazy thing? Because I think at some point Epic Games is going to turn Fortnite skins into NFTs and the old Fortnite skins are going to be super valuable. Maybe that's completely crazy. But I think we're moving in this sort of direction where you see the first steps of it, right? When we're living in a digital universe and, I look around and every single person in this room is looking at a screen, and I know the average screen time is 7 hours a day for a human on the planet Earth right now. And I say, we are living in a digital environment already. What happens when that becomes 18 hours a day? You're literally in a digital environment the entire time you're awake. How are people going to own and trade assets within that environment? And we're at the first steps of that right now. We're in a digital environment. We just don't know it yet. And ownership within that digital environment, we're figuring it out. But NFTs are kind of like that first step to owning those digital assets.
I completely agree. And I also think Fortnite should turn it into NFTs. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
That's my retirement plan.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm a gamer myself. I've actually played Fortnite, done these different things. This is something that I personally wanted because I've had friends who have spent like thousands of dollars on skins or in-game assets. In Grand Theft Auto, for example, there's V-Bucks in Fortnite and Grand Theft Auto. They have the shark money. That stuff should all be tokenized. But my point is they spent thousands of dollars on this, and then they actually ended up getting their account banned.
Oh, yeah, it's brutal.
So
brutal.
They lost all their skins. They lost their like penthouse in GTA and all that. And it wasn't even their fault. Basically, there was a glitch in GTA that allowed them to get more money. and they didn't even know that they had been a part of it. And then later on, they came and they banned their account. And so I think
Totally.
as these things kind of come up, also you see different people getting, kicked off of social media platforms, YouTube, things like that. And I feel like for my generation, Gen Z, it's becoming more and more important to know that we actually like fucking own this shit.
Totally, man.
And someday they can't just shut it off, especially when you're talking about these Fortnite skins where you're like, well, shit, I hope, I'm not trying to be like devil's advocate here. It's like, well, shit, what if Fortnite just shuts down?
That's right.
The skins could all be gone.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I think I agree with you in terms of where it could be stored there.
At the end of the day, humanity is going to have to make a choice. Do we want our digital items owned by a handful of large companies and governments in the world, or do we want to own them ourselves? And if we want to own them ourselves, the only way to do that is on public blockchains. And we have to make that choice. And I think, actually, I was discussing this earlier with someone, like, as a community, we need to tell better stories about why that's important, right? And I most people outside of this space don't actually realize what a public blockchain is. Don't realize that ownership of digital items on public blockchains is actually super valuable and something we can all get behind. Like, anybody you explain this to in 10 seconds, they understand that, right? But we need to do a lot more explaining it and actually teach people, like, this is the way forward with digital items, 100%.
So you said you had a show.
Yeah.
Is that right? Can you tell a little about the show?
Well, I do podcasting, shows, Twitter Spaces. I don't know.
What's your favorite?
I do like 5 Twitter Spaces a week. I do a show every Friday called The Vault with my company Emblem Vault, where we explore collectibles from a long-term collectible mindset. So, like, how are we looking at, NFTs and digital items, kind of talking about this. Like, what are people going to value in 5, 10, 15 years? Trying to break that down, because it's complicated, right? It's super complicated when it gets into NFTs. Is it gaming assets, art, how it all relates? And so that's a never-ending conversation. We explore a different collectible kind of each week and go deep on those collectibles.
And that probably helps build both of your audiences too, I would assume.
Yes.
No, that's really cool. I appreciate your depth and knowledge. Like, it's really nice to talk to someone who really understands the NFT space specifically.
Yeah.
So for people who are watching this, where can they go to find out more about you, find out more about the company, the projects that you're working with? Because I'm sure you're going to have some people interested in learning more.
Twitter's the only place. I'm on Twitter, Adam A. McBride on Twitter. If you punch in NFT Archaeologist, you'll probably get me on Twitter. My company's Emblem Vault. You'll find it in the bio and stuff. And I live on Twitter. It was funny today. Somebody's like, you check your Twitter? I'm like, bro, check. I'm in Twitter. Like, I wish Twitter was just up here on my side. I could just like scroll it all the time. Yeah. So I'm on Twitter. I live there.
Me too. That's awesome though. Check out the Twitter. Is there anything else you think people who are watching this should know about what you do? Anything I missed?
No, I just encourage you, if you're in the crypto space at all, like you're doing, I consider this like a public service about educating people. I encourage people to really reach out and talk to their friends and family members about what crypto is, meaning the base layer, what it's about. It's about blockchain technology and what that allows, which is ownership of digital items. This is transformative. It's not about money, go up and price go up. It's about our future, which is a digital future, and ownership of digital items. That's the important thing in my view.
I completely agree. I was the guy shilling Bitcoin at every Thanksgiving. So I definitely hear you on that one. Thank you so much for the interview, and stay tuned for more.
Appreciate you. Thanks, man.